If you've ever said to yourself, I am lost when it comes to the federal marketplace and understanding how to navigate it, then you are in the right place because we're about to talk about that today. Welcome to the Executive Innovation Show. I'm your host, Chevy, your federal execution partner, speaker, author, and business development consultant. And what I do here, I work with tech founders who wants to gain federal opportunities through qualified proposal and core partnership without sacrificing their time and capacity. That is who I help. That is who I serve. So if you're that person, come on in, say hello, drop a one in the chat if you're new here. And if you are my OG, welcome. Drop in the chat what you do. Because again, for me, it's about sharing insights, sharing strategies, but also helping you as a founder to connect with aligned potential partnerships that may be in the comments. So come on in and say hello. So it is Wednesday. If you're new here, like I said, welcome. And we're talking about feeling and being lost when it comes to the federal market space. And I'm talking about this topic, I'm speaking about this topic because this is something that I felt at one point, even though I served 22 plus years in the United States Air Force, I was in the inside. So I know how to operate and buy things from the inside in the federal market space. But on the outside, I had to learn as well. And even when things were being, brought to me in a sense of conversation, I was like, what is this? What's a capability statement? And I'm like, oh, it's your business resume. So you may be in the same situation mentally where you're like, okay, I feel lost. So that is what we're talking about today on the Executive Innovation Show. And one thing I want to share, and this is a statement that I have heard from tech founders directly out of their mouth saying, Chevy, I am lost. And this is a statement that I have said to myself. Maybe you have said to yourself, maybe you're saying to yourself currently right now that you feel lost in the federal market space and you don't know where to start. And when you're saying I am lost in the federal market space, I do have my notes. It's not because you don't have the capabilities, okay? It is not because of that. It is not because you don't have the experience, because you have decades of experience like myself, decades of experience. You are certified, you have what you need. It is not because you don't know how to execute, because you are a go-getter, you're ambitious, you're driven, you're like, what's next? Okay, because I can relate with you because you're me in a sense. But when you say I am lost, or I hear other founders say they're lost, it sounds very familiar, and it's something that we may say often because things are happening. Okay. And this conversation is what we're talking about, how to remove that language from saying I'm lost, but to really understanding how to operate, navigate, and execute in that space. All right. So I had a conversation, like I said, with someone, a tech founder who more than qualified in a sense of achievement, degrees, in a sense of having a strong background, in a sense of experiencing working in the federal space in the civilian entity where they were supporting that organization to go after federal opportunities. So they understand the concept. But even though you work within that organization, sometimes you don't fully understand when it comes to your own business how to navigate it. Because when you're working for a specific organization, you're working just a piece of that process. You're not working the whole process. And in your business, you have to work the whole process unless you bring someone in like myself, or you have someone in your team to do the whole process for you, like a BD or a capture person or a proposal person. And this person had, launched your business, had revenue coming in, they had an opportunity. If you're here, drop in the comments, say hello. I don't see any comments right now, but let me know, because I know sometimes with the internet, you may be live watching and for whatever reason, it is not showcasing. But if you hear, say hello in the chat. As I was saying, so this person have all these skill set and criteria and qualifications. And the one thing that they said to me after we, during our conversation was like, Chevy, I am lost. I don't know where to start when it comes to my own business. And identifying where do I go, who do I tap into, what is the process. And that can be overwhelming, that can be exhausting, that can be defeating as someone who's looking to break into federal market. And if you're in the space and you know you're ready, in the sense of like you've been thinking it, you've been wanting to break in, but you just like, Chevy, I feel lost, I feel like there's so much things going on, drop a 2 in the chat, okay? Because I want to make sure that what I'm sharing is resonating with you as well. And this is why I want to talk about this topic today on this show. Okay. But I want you to understand, friend, like being lost is not, it's not about capability. It's not. Because as I stated, you have the capability. It's not about feeling like you're behind, and because you're not behind, because you have a life, you have a business, there's a lot of things going on. And we have big companies who are ahead of the game, ahead of us, including myself, who has been in this space for decades. Okay, for decades. So they have a rhythm, they have a process, they have people, they have the resources. And now you as a small business is getting your feet wet in the federal market space. So you're not behind, you're right on time, but you just have to make sure we bring things into focus and not allowed all of this ecosystem of the government space to consume you, but really help you to get focused. And this is why I'm sharing this information for you today as a tech founder. Okay. So as I stated, and I'm just kind of kept going back to this, is you've worked in the federal space before, whether you retire, worked in the government as a military person, or maybe a civilian, or you supported a organization that is supporting the government to some level. Okay. Again, you've had wins as a business, you are making wins in the commercial space, you are serving clients, and this is something that you are good at, but for some specific reason, you have not gotten the strategies and the clear process to figure out, okay, where do I start? So that overwhelmed, again, of feeling lost, I understand. But what happens when we feel like we're lost? And it's because life is happening, truly. Like, think about it. And even with the conversation that I had with this founder, they shared that life was happening for them in that moment where they didn't know where to start. Their life had shifted, their energy shifted. It was more in the downward direction instead of upward, and their priorities shifted. So you may be at the same juncture of where you're at now in your business, where it is colliding with life, family, kids, maybe wife, maybe whatever it is, relationship, and your energy is at a point where, when it's usually at a 10 and it's like at a 3 to 4, because you still got to show up, you still got to serve clients, you still got to be there for your family, you still got to be there, to create opportunities and network. But that energy that that you usually have is missing. And that person shared with me, like, I don't have the clarity needed to figure out which direction I need to go in. And if you're at that juncture, let me know. Drop direction in the chat. Okay. Because as a high performer, because the people that I work with are high performing individuals. They're ambitious, they're driven, they're go-getters. They're like me. Okay. So if you're a go-getter and you like, yes, I'm a high performer, drop a 4 in the chat. Actually, no, drop performer in the chat. If you are like, Chevy, this is me, I'm a go-getter, we're not waiting, we're taking action, but we need clarity at times, drop performer in the chat. Okay. So it's not about being lost. It's really about, where do I aim? Okay. Where do I aim to make sure that my company is positioned for the right opportunities? Okay. So again, if you're saying, Chevy, I'm lost, Chevy, like, I don't know where to start. This ecosystem of the government space is so wide, it's so big. It's like, where do I go? Well, I'm here to tell you, okay, you have, and you're saying this, let me just say this very quickly. You're saying that because, number one, you have no clear target. And I'm going to say I was the same too, because when it came to my business and figuring out who I was serving, I had to ask my coach, like, and tell my coach, like, I feel like I'm just all over the place. I feel lost. And for me, it was because I didn't have a clear target on who I was looking to serve truly. Okay. And as a founder, you don't have a target agency to direct your energy and your time into. Because, as I said, this is a big bubble, a big system when it comes to the government as a whole. But you don't have a clear target. You have no pipeline. You have, what is this? Okay. You have no direction on what is the next move when it comes to breaking into the federal market space. And I was you, but I had to get clear. I had to get assistance. I had to get support. I had to do my research. I had to understand how the government operated on the outside, because again, I knew how we operated on the inside because I was one of those buyers for my agency, for my work section. I was one of those buyers, buying supplies, buying certain things that we needed to execute the mission. But now after retirement and I'm in the space and I'm like, oh, this is how they operate on this side. And having that clarity is going to help you to really position your company for federal opportunities. Okay. So you have to look at what is working right now in a federal space. Okay. And you can be aggressive, you can be aggressive and try to go after all these different opportunities, but that is going to wear you out mentally. It's going to zap your energy. You're going to go back to saying, I feel lost, Chevy, because you're trying to do it all. Okay. So you have to look at, what can I do? Because we know the market has shifted. The market has shifted in the government as a whole. But I will tell you this, even though the market has shifted, supply and demand has gone up. It may have shifted into different resources, but they're still spending, they're still buying. So I wanted you to understand, instead of saying I am lost, really look at, okay, what can I target? What agency can I position? Again, going back to positioning. So we want to remove, I feel lost. We want to go back. Okay, I'm aware. Here's what I can do. So feeling lost is a problem. It is a problem because it keeps you stuck. It keeps you in the cycle. It keeps you spinning. And we don't want you spinning. We want you doing. We want you to do, but do the right things. Okay. So another thing that I want you to make sure that you are doing is look for the clarity that you need. Because when you don't have clarity, you don't know where to start. You will feel lost. You will feel like maybe you're behind. And when I say clarity, I mean like really identifying what is the one thing. I talked about doing one thing last week. What is the one thing that you know that you can do? Because that's going to help you to create that momentum. Because like that founder I had the conversation with, they were in a place where they wanted growth, but they had no clue on which agency to position their innovation, because they had a lot of things that they can offer to the government, but they were not clear on where they needed to go. Because again, the opportunity that they had came from someone that they knew. So they didn't really have the opportunity to really understand the full spectrum of the business development aspect, how to position their services and products to this specific agency. So they didn't have the clarity that they needed. Because sometimes when we're supporting others, it flows because we're only doing a piece of it, as I stated. But when we are in our own businesses, we have to do all the pieces. And if you don't have someone doing different pieces when it comes to breaking into the federal market and making sure that your company is positioned for growth, then that momentum, it's not going to be there, and you're going to feel stuck. You're going to feel like, what am I doing? And when life happens, you're going to want to give up, or you're going to want to ship and say, you know what, not now. But now is your opportunity as a small business to get that clarity. So I want to share some additional things. So what founders tell me, what is this? Give me 1 second. Okay. When founders tell me that they don't, like, they feel lost, again, you don't have a clear direction. You don't. And I'm guilty. I've been there. So I can relate. I understand if you're saying that you feel lost. Like, for example, when I got into this space and, like even understanding cyber, I had no clue what cyber was, but I had to take time and and do the research and connect with agency program managers to understand, okay, what cyber is, what they're looking for, how they want to have more diverse people in that space. And because at first I was like, what is this thing? Even learn about, okay, you need to have, different capabilities and how it should be formatted. And I'm like, what is a capability statement? I had no clue in the beginning until I was like, oh, I started connecting the dots, but also researching, but also having conversation with individuals who already were in the space making multiple millions of dollars, and was able to guide me and show me, here's what you need to do. Here's how you position your company, whether it's my Maglish Academy company or my J3M consulting company. So not having clear direction is going to hinder you from moving forward, is going to keep you in that place of, I feel lost. I feel overwhelmed. Okay. And if you're still with me, if you're watching this, I cannot see the comments, but what I'll do very quickly so I can make sure, I'm going to go to let's see, maybe it's Academy company or my J3M. Okay, so it must be StreamYard for some reason. So I do see the chat. Hey, Queen. Hey, Rochelle is here with me on LinkedIn. She said things aren't happening when you're not executing 100%. And also, she said life is always happening and priorities do shift. Yes, it does. And we have MD Sajab. Hopefully, I pronounced your name correctly. If not, sorry. He said, love the focus on readiness and execution. Momentum truly comes from action, not endless strategy loops. Yes. And sometimes people stay in that loop of planning and strategizing. And I'm that person. Like, that is great. But at what point do you say to yourself or to your team, we're going to move out? Okay, that's more like a military term, but it's like we're moving out. Because for me, it's not only about just planning. And I had a conversation yesterday with someone because we're doing a presentation on Friday. And they were sharing how, well, Chevy, you're all about action. You're all about action. And I'm like, no, I'm not all about action, because sometimes individuals can be like, well, I give the tools, and which is great. You can give someone the tools. But for me, it's like, let's give them the tools, but also let's give them the plan to execute. Because too often people have the plan, they have the tools, but they don't have the plan to take the next step. And for me, it's like, now you have a path to not feel I'm lost, not feel overwhelmed, but to take action. So thank you for sharing that, MD. So what else? Back to what I was saying. So you don't have the direction. Also, you don't have a plan that you can actually execute. Kind of going back to what I shared, last week and the week prior, that sometimes we go after all these different opportunities when in actuality, you need to focus on that one key agency and see what opportunities that they have available that are out there currently that you can pursue, or start having conversations with program managers and different individuals to say, okay, this is our solution because this is the problem that you have. So not having that. Also, momentum. You want to feel grounded, not chaos. And if you are continuing to do all the things, continuing to keep in that statement in your head saying I'm lost, then guess what? In your mind, it's telling you, well, you know what? We lost, so we can't do it. We cannot do it. So you have to shift that frame of mind completely and say, okay, yes, I'm overwhelmed, but here's what I can do now. Here's what I can do today. Here's what I can do tomorrow as well. Okay. So So when you know what you're selling, that's clarity. Okay. When you know what agency you're pursuing, that's clarity. That means you're not going to be saying, I feel lost. That language will be removed from your mouth and your mind. And now you can be like, okay, I see a path, I see a journey of how we can break into the federal market space. So, as a founder, a tech founder, if you are saying to yourself, I feel lost when it comes to breaking into the federal market space, I want you to reflect, like truly take time to reflect and ask yourself, what is it that is causing me to feel lost in this space? Is it because I don't know the different agencies, or I'm aware of them, but I don't know where to start? Is it there's not, you feel like your offer is not clear? When I say your offer, your services, your product is not clear. You're not sure if this specific agency has purchased your product within the last couple of years. So really go a little bit deeper or deep within understanding what is it that you want to sell. And if you're like, well, Chef, you already have a product. I know that it's being sold, but I just don't have the time and capacity. And I just feel like because of the system is so big and, it's so broad that I don't want to go into that space, because when you go into it, you do feel like I'm lost. Like, where do I begin? Okay. If that is you, and you know that you are looking to partner with someone who can help you not only strategize, but help you get to that goal that you're trying to reach, which is to submit qualified proposal. But before you can do that, identify qualified opportunities for your business, submit qualified proposals, because again, what I've seen from my experience, whether it's CIBR or regular RFPs, is making sure that you have answered and responded to everything that they are asking you to respond. The whole gamut, okay? From the font to the page number, all of it. If you are looking for that, but also looking for a execution partner to help you get out of that I am lost frame of mind to, okay, we are identifying, we are submitting, and we are executing to help you win those opportunities. Because the goal is you want to win, and you want to have someone on your team that you can trust, you can lead and execute on your behalf, who can help you to identify those core partnerships. Because when you have those things, when you have someone who is going out on your behalf, researching that specific organization, you get to focus on your work, the things that you enjoy doing, whether that's networking, whether that's building a new relationship, whether that's leading your team, whether that's building the innovative thing that you love so much to build so that you can bring it out to the market. Whatever that thing is, you get your time back to focus on those things. And also that shift to put that time back, and that extra time that you have now, back into self, back into family, back into the hobbies, whatever it is that you enjoy doing. Because now you have someone who is strategic, who is intentional, and who is able to execute on your behalf. And make sure that the things in the RFPs that you're submitting are quality RFPs, because you want growth, and I'm here to help founders like yourself grow. Like I said, I cannot guarantee you a contract, but I can position you to get the contract. So when you're ready, if you are that tech founder and you are at a standstill of feeling like this space is overwhelming, and you feel like it is stressful, it is draining, and it's complex, then I invite you to DM me the word ready, so where I can share with you how I can support you on this next journey on helping you to position and grow in the federal market space. And I want to thank Rochelle for being here. Thank you for joining, and also thank you, MD, for being here as well too. I don't want to say the second part of your name because I don't want to jack it up. But as always, I want to thank you all for joining me. If you're watching this later on, #replay. And as your host, thank you so much for joining me here. And I am Chevy, your federal execution partner, speaker, author, and business development consultant. And I work with tech founders who want to gain federal opportunities through qualified proposal and core partnership without sacrificing their time and capacity. And join me here next Wednesday, as always, at 11 o'clock on the Executive Innovation Show. And y'all have an amazing Wednesday as always.